I will say a few lines about appearance and reality. When I talk about appearance and reality, it will be based mainly on Buddhist epistemology or the valid cognition, what we call sometimes. And when we talk about fields, and this epistemology is one of the 10 fields of studies, and we have 5 major fields of knowledge or study and 5 minor fields of knowledge or study. So epistemology is one of the major fields of knowledge in our tradition. So I would say that it was founded by one of Tibetan scholars called Sakya Pandita. Sakya Pandita de Chedong Chija Chedong Chija Geji Jenyin Lola Saja la Kutumbares Pandita Tambores. So he was born in 1182 in Sakya part of Tibet, and we believe that he was one of the first scholars, Buddhist scholars from Tibet. Jidang gida cheme shungdi gyachim bishibares, jidang kamangwe nala chazang she tuye yo mares, jia zang digina nega cheshi de lotuwa da moduwa kor de sheginis. So epistemology is a very big topic, so we think that I will focus on what is valid cognition and what is non-valid cognition. Jidang lotuwa de la yongda gida sajabage sum digares, madoba chik, lodo da ni tesum sum digares. So from the Sakya school of Tibetan Buddhism, when we talk about misconceptions, it can be of 3 types. Logdo is a wrong view, and doubt, and not understood. Jidang Tambo Madaba City Condes was a Penamiji Lobson Channel Lodging Sawan and Machina, and you did Madaba cigarettes. So, not understood or not knowing, like whether sometimes even if you put a lot of efforts, you will not able to understand it, and that is one type. Jidang Lodo City Condes were Penang on the meeting to see a Gosola, a Gansa, Ujila, Union of Tungarity, Lobatabares. And then another type is sometimes like you feel like you understood it, but actually you understood it in a kind of in a wrong way. For example, if when we press our eye, you see something and you thought that is real, and later it ends up being wrong. That again, that Tesum de Candes or as a penna, that ring onto the Samat Trenena Nores, Nambasanja Bata Ceribani, that Ela Tunde Yabuchi Yungu and Yumunusa, the Lord, the Samlokoana, the Tesum race. Then we talk about the doubt, and doubt is like a state of mind where, for say, if before this kind of conversation, if we think about how we're going to happen or what kind of results we're going to have during this kind of conference, so that state of mind is what we call doubt. So among these, the wrong view is the most important one. Most important concept. Wrong view can be wrong because of 2 different causes. One cause related with the object itself, and one can be related with things associated with that cause. Jidang number la tuba se de condes in you the pena miji duela travel goso etinamban do goso taba tawaji tona midige lodela that region to nyamsa de gosola carsen midige taba de true maso mi tungone toya de on number some tuba maresi gores de gosola du o nyambe taba de true is lodina la twinzira jena taba de tuba res. Sometimes when we see a rope, sometimes we mistake that as a snake. And that time, actually, what you are seeing is the rope, but your conscious or the thought can be interpreted as a snake. And that is one type of how you can get a wrong concept or a wrong view. Sometimes misconceptions can be arises because of the time lapse. For example, if I'm looking at the translator, and since I saw the translator before, and when I look at the translator at this moment, and if I think that this is the same translator, but since there are changes happened in the translator at a very small level, so that is also a kind of misconception. Wrong view. Another type of misconception and wrong view can be arises, as I said before, was related with your eye sense faculties. So some misconceptions can be arises even at because of the mind itself. For example, when we are sleeping, at that time we can we can believe that the dream is real, but that dream arises from the consciousness, and the belief that the dream itself is real is also a kind of misconception that arises because of the mind itself. So like this, there are different kinds of misconceptions. So opposite to these kinds of misconceptions, then what we call the valid cognition or the inferential valid cognition. There are two types of valid cognitions: direct valid cognition and inferential cognitions. So valid cognition can be categorized into more groups, like valid cognitions of sense perception, sense faculties, valid cognition of mind, and valid cognition of I think primordial mind, that kind of thing. So, but the one valid cognition that is related with science could be the valid cognition that is related with our sensory perceptions. So for example of this sensory valid perception or the cognition is if like sensing and that something is hot as hot and something cold as cold is an example of valid perception through our senses. So for example, And the second type of valid cognition is what we call inferential valid cognition. So based on the things that we observe at present, say like the global warming, and then we can predict or inference what will going to happen after some time. And that kind of cognition is also a valid cognition, but inferential valid cognition. Chemidi shena kiben kare yorsina machine tyu kare vesina pecha shana chuji nala debe kosula nala debe kosuru khran nala dege yor khrangi
대사라 잡았던 거레스 되게 코랑이 내주도 신기가 말레스 딘내 신도 가서 저 미니네 저문딘 뒤에 가라 되나 내제 근데지 뉴베 야나 근데지 하고와 이나 디 체마레스 하마고나 치미게 로레스 제장한테 내가 지금 시차도레스
This concept of valid and invalid cognitions, or the concept of valid cognition and the misconceptions, are very important in Buddhist traditions, because through this kind of trainings, then it will give you a better understanding of what is the right way of living and what is the wrong way of living. Normally, when we give an example of a monkey, and if monkey do not have this kind of ability to understand the concept of what is right and what is wrong, then he may be like creating messes in the places where he or himself is living. So that's why this is important to have a better understanding of how we should live. Thank you.
ane kazonga so pagal taje ji tang ro ane taje de tom kapso hyog sorsom imbaji yore tene hyog sorsom jin de la ane nga so ka mengoya de pa kong tene ta no kapso tene hyog de la surgeon ton ro tene nga so te chang ma imba parche par jano yang corona surgeon ton ro tene te nature ta nangsere nda la gurta pa twa ta ta tin thwa re ka res
So during our workshop, we did an experiment with far-out corner experiment, where you have a piece of paper, and when you look it close up, it seems that the corner is away from you. But if you close your eye and keep on looking at that corner for a certain period of time, after some time it appears that the corner is towards you. So actually you can see that the corner is towards you. And even I doubt that also, like if we take a photograph of that paper, the corner maybe even like appears towards you. So at that kind of observation, it seems valid to us. So from a scientific point of view, would you call this kind of an illusion, or can we consider it as a real valid observation, or it's just illusion?
So I actually saw the video of this last night, was shown it by someone. We would call it an illusion, but we find it interesting anyway, because we would want to know why it's an illusion and want to learn more about why it appears that way. So it's definitely a valid question to ask. We would call it an illusion, and we would look for an explanation for it, a physical explanation, but it certainly is a valid question to ask.
Ani nganzu ki di ani karan thonga di khar shagres labin bena ani tunang se chuwa se di res sema res mares cheza ani sema mares la goe ki ani ngaran sul kimje yores sema me ba ha ko ani tunang res lagi yor di bena di thol nganzu ki ani thonan chi nyamshi mangbo chi yor che goe kimje khares labin bena o nguyu ni zula ani sur di thu di su chol me win bena yewa tar nang goe kimje khare di khachi ni yungu yores ya ani dinzu ki thola ani ne zu shin goe mangbo yo song 아니 먼저 그 도나치는 딱이 열었어. 이네 아니 제가 아니 고 티와 딘데 지 그빈베나 디 김세메 티와 딘데 마리샤 티와다 디두스.
I just wanted to add a bit. Ian can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when Ian says a physical, that we would look for a physical explanation, I think what Ian means is not an explanation, necessarily an explanation in the external world. It would be an explanation that involves how does light travel from the object to our eye, what happens inside our eye to that light, how does the signal pass to our brain, and then how does our brain process that information. So it's a very interesting phenomenon because it involves physics, physiology, and neuroscience, and possibly even discussions about consciousness. So, but yes, so I think as scientists we would find it very interesting, but we would still regard it, as Ian said, as an illusion.
Tadi tunang jires la roas tunang red ni bena ane dine ke ane tunang de khachini chungu yore sia di ane deshi gaya ki tabshi chigore deshi gaya di ane sukjin ki ane ngobu da dewa yobe ki tone sukjin ngobu ki chawa chitang ki tone ane deshi gaya tobya ji gu yore chesa da din deshi gaya rudu sambala ane dine ma we khandis po yore we chu khandis dab gu yore we dab chan mig lo phone mig lega khandis chigore ane lebe lega khandis chigore sia din zo ane deshi ane ship changu gaya yore chesa da din de ki deshi gaya doyala ane lobzen chan sibin bana ko king lobzen da dewa yore ngam seri da dewa yore tega na shi mig da din zo she gu yo sonza ane tanda ane lungkam ki ane mala din zo ki chawa chidang da dewa yo wangzin seri kilobzen da dewa yo tega na shi ane khandi jin thong man thong ge je shi yo sonza ane sem ge nam sha si gun re shebe ki chawa chidang thola ane dewa chi gu yo sonza deshi di ane lobzen mang bu chi le chu di yu du sambala mi zu ki ane ni zu din zo lo thona shi chi yo res.
You had said that wrong view can be wrong because of two causes, because of the object itself and because of the cause itself. Can you explain a little bit more about the second, because of the cause itself? What does that mean?
The page dilagi sir that you adi ane tua la du sambala ane tugu yula yoada tegana shi ane tuju ta korang ka tanda tsik tiya de jula ni tisha jugen le yo asia chizan de ti ta tuju ani jugen la ta yu maimba niwa di korang jugen la jula ni tisha de chi na ani yugen li si ro o dilate shawe ke tudan din ko this shero chidas
chidam bala tuju jugen la yo ba sena pena neba jin da ba yana tine chen ge neba jin na dong de la kan de dong ka wei na seven da tung ga ra di din da sha chö ri tu ju gen de la de na tu ga ra chu sa de ju gen zo de ka sa na ko ne ba yin be jun je ko ne to na la ka sa na ka bo la se bu tung ga re ti ne jing ka sa ge di ju gen de la de na tung ga re sa yin tu.
So example of this would be is that if you are having jaundice and if you are looking at a paper, white paper, that white paper may appear to you as a yellow paper. So, but that is a misconception, wrong view. But that misconception arises not because of the conditions of the paper itself. That misconception arises because of another causes that is related of your health, and that is the jaundice. Jaundice is causing you to have the misconception about the white paper.
So if I could follow up that question, because that actually kind of was the question I was trying to think of. In Buddhism, so if you have the jaundice or the yellow fever that causes you to view the paper as yellow, so science looks at yellow fever as being caused by what is it, bacteria, virus? I don't know.
Yellow jaundice is, I think it's a bacteria.
Okay, so well, it's caused by something scientifically, and then so we think of it that way. How does Buddhism sort of view that? Like, where? So, one of the things that we do as scientists is, I like to think that I'm always asking why. So if you give me an answer, I'll say why, and you'll give me an answer, and I'll say why again. And so my answer is, if it's yellow fever or jaundice, why? What causes that?
Oh, then sugar this ani tibane imbe na seo tongre sigar was cheza da di ani tuwa shagi na ani tuwa shago yagi ani gumzen khares kharchini shagi yores Gaigos.
당고베 내절라 슈구디 까버라 이나 고세부 통라 대균제권에 주바샤리.
We consider that perception as misconception because the paper itself is white, not yellow. And your physical condition is that you have jaundice in your body, and because of that, that disturbs your thought and wrong view or a misconception.
Can I ask a follow-up of that? So suppose your yellow fever never went away. How would you ever know that there is a misconception?
Like tiwa dila mutunit pa tiwa shkubi bena staikeran tiba newa yo ache ane tiba newa yo gimzel tene shu de seon tongu yena takira mizi gora ane tiba tha yo mares tiba tha mewa sonza mizi gora shu seon tong deres ta di imbe na kiran ki ane shu seon tong de di shu seon maimba ane tiwa imba de khani sagu resta kadi hagu res
다때 된데 녀세바래 배낭 안서 미질라 니마 따바 누르 지고나 코 양다바지 하마는 거고다 강사디 거라 투바디 균도 요래 내지 된다 그래 거gel라 투바라 투바디 코 하고 말해 그거 말아 배나 커슬로서 체리바가 미카샬라 쳐다마 스디요 말해서 레베 쳐다마 템바치 주고요 말해서 디기라 따바디 요래 내지 된다
that situation can be possible if the jaundice did not go away, then he will not going to have that the realization of his misconception. So misconception is there in all of us, and sometimes we never know that we have that kind of misconceptions. For example, during the workshop, our teachers told us that sometimes if you damage hippocampus in your brain, you don't have any memory. For this person, as long as he lives, there's no memory for him. So same as this, if his jaundice is yellow for him, and he will continue to live with this kind of misconception for his life.
Can I jump in? This is really more like an observation because I've been almost the whole day seeing a lot of problems created because of the usage of the word and the meaning each side is misunderstanding. So here in this particular plenary, this session also, we are using different words. Like in Tibetan we have Tushi, which is mistaken consciousness. Then we have Lokshe, wrong consciousness. Then we have Lokto, misconception. These are all different. So there has been a lot of problem with this, so I wanted to rectify that, number one. And then, of course, different Buddhist schools, they have different thoughts, but according to the highest, the Prasangik Madhyamika school, all consciousnesses are mistaken by nature. But that does not mean to say they're all wrong consciousness. For example, in the case of an eye consciousness, which perceives, say, flower, in terms of its main object of engagement, which is flower, and it cognizes and perceives that flower, so in that sense it is not mistaken, it's not wrong. But still it is mistaken because it sees the flower as having independent existence from its own side. So whatever we perceive, we tend to see that as having independent, inherent existence from its side. So therefore it is mistaken, but not wrong. Now misconception, the example already given by different presenters earlier, taking a coil of rope as a snake. That's not only mistaken, but also wrong consciousness. Because she did the number so much chingering a cross the shed. Not to than the chitan and to the tiny the Judukangi Hujresha. Penang to Tanji Kangi Manguchung, you ever done Rangun, you ever to cross the head, the Eva Chetumundo. Then I'm to get the Chikwado Session, I'm to bet the Karawa, teaching Nordigo. That under the line on the low tumor to get a hearing the two shade down, Tanjing Lapside, two shade down, Logdo down, Rava, any Karsore. Loki does a car a bit. Two shades said the Rangan now to us. Now you like Karina ko Rangun the two, but now they do Shiba in the two game becomes tangible Rava. The Loki said the young Korangi, the Jugus over the Norna, the Loki Sigar Madogi, this is go mare. Then you do so want to chuma cheber se wo lakbar do inji gang la that you do khakbore because I don't know if you make a distinction between mistaken consciousness or wrong consciousness, but we have a difference, so we loosely translate it in that way. So there is a lot of problems with the usage of the words.
No, you can go ahead, you can ask.
All right, quick one. Okay, so one of the well-known ways that we think that misconceptions or illusions can happen is when people take drugs, for example, and then they have an altered consciousness because of the drugs. So my question is, what is the in-principle difference between the altered state of consciousness from drugs and the altered state of consciousness through meditation? That means that one gives trustworthy, understanding, and the other leads to illusion.
That theory is that mazu tuishe da lokshe se dini keje she indi zambala tande ki ani nganzu gyunden ki ani sem ki nebob dela ani gyurwa chimbe ki gyurwa tangbe ki sem ki nebob chigla se yerwas chazata sem ki nebob gyurwa chimba se du zambala ani chi khandi shungla na nganzu de rasye ki me du seche ani sem ki nebob gyurwa du duwas chaza di ko shebe ki nebob chik cha di yores tegana shi gom nyemli dinzu le tene yang kharcha yores la na nganzu thanda yebe ki sem ki nebob di gyurwa tang tu yerwas chazata sem ki nebob din gyurwa tang dan chig tang yung du zambala kharcha du du slavin bena ani ya cha jang ya yung yerwas ta tanda gom gyane che dinzu ta sem ki nebob shimba chig gyur du zambala ko men sa dini ching du zambala ko du cha shimba chig gyur du duwas chazata dini sem ki nebob din gyurwa de chigba de manda yung ko ya di kimzen khare ani khandisini yung yores este.
This is interesting because this shows the flexibility of the mind being able to change for the good and also for the bad, and also neutral. Like if you take drugs or like LSD or whatever and get hallucinated, not necessarily bad, so long as that person doesn't engage in any destructive activity. So it's a kind of neutral hallucination. And now if you intentionally meditate on loving kindness, compassion, then it's not mistaken, not wrong in the sense because you're intentionally cultivating those positive qualities. Similarly, if you keep on thinking about how to plot and kill somebody day and night, that of course is, then you can also gradually get habituated and become an expert, killer. So that's of course in the wrong side. So that really shows the flexibility of the mind. Ale that the same gom jamne same yakbo soye na ti member same dugja soye di ke thidwa ti khar tengyo sena same khorang ge rangshi de same je rangshi wesa ba thima namne lubur ba slabrawa same khorang jurwa tang yo dingech jurwa tang de yo dingen de la tan jurwa tang mangurawa duga cholon jurwa tang yungure yaga cholon jurwa tang yungure ene ko pharma dinde gangla ya komne de dinde yungure ta pharma dinde jing men da ji se khorang gothom de na ta ko dugja shibure lawi ta khona chola dug yor ma do ge milan no jen chimbo ma je na ta pharma soru ji chau ro ba ta ga she ge ya samlo jirwa ta chenga ge mise ge be ngushi jorwa kunlung kharina de thade chene lo mangbo khande se ne ya yuna ge hun ju ne ya yuna go ni tor ni chine ya yuna khap ju ne ya yuna tisu ne ya yuna se chechi mangbo ting ne do na ta de duga chola nga ju ta lab ge ro jorwa ngushi ju se cha mangbo ji he go ro ta de duga chol du res ta dime ba je ne chamba ning je gumye tinde soro bi na ya ko trugiyo mara ku chi dunyen ne yakbo jina gumge de tu tuba de tinde lokshe na tinde sigiyo mara ti yakbo chaye kan je sem chus ro di ta di se wo tingi yodes. And also the interesting thing here that may be quite interesting because there's a beautiful explanation in one Buddhist epistemological text where it talks about the differences between the training of the physical body and the training of the mind. And it says in the case of training of the body, however much you train that body, there will be a limited progress, not beyond that. For example, if you are, let us say, the number one in long jump, the world's number one gold medalist in long jump, so he's number one, and still he does some practice and may be able to jump a little bit further. But it will never happen to that person that this person has now started jumping from one mountain to another mountain. That will never happen because this shows, like boiling water, this shows the limitation. Whereas in the case of the mind, you can train your mind to an endless point. So that is why that's one probably reason the Buddha paid so much attention on the training of the mind. So whether you are like Einstein or whoever, they never said, now I completed all my study, there's no room in my mind to do further progress. So now luckily the science is also talking about neural plasticity, so there's a good news. Yeah.
So we'll open up to the audience for questions. Anyone here?
Chubade kare yuse hiwaina teni tada konge tanga nyingong de la nuso be tarop seaje tendejene kolma jezam ke tudong de tendejema je sonson tati kol rang yins chubade ti jedi zane nuso be tawa tang chunta se misi tache mandawa che Charso ke tini tadup ta mandawa che noso ke tadup te kare yoreis twachik te is twani becha ne tini tawa tang chungtha ni la chebar kare ke thoni che gu yoreis tati twani te is ti thol lenje nano chis hyai.
The talk that's given by one of the presenters about Western philosophy. And when you talk about Western philosophy, then based on your understanding, what is the most distinctive differences between Western and Eastern philosophy? That is the first part of my question. And my second part of the question is that in the Western philosophical traditions, do you differentiate the differences between philosophical view and philosophical theory?
So I'm only just learning a little bit more about Eastern philosophy. So from what I can gather so far, from what I understand, I believe that the biggest difference is in the way we treat the problems that I put up there of knowledge and reality. Western science is very, very strongly separates those two. Western philosophy separates those two. And from what I'm learning here, it doesn't seem like Eastern philosophies do that, or particularly Buddhism anyway.
Sharjo ki tarup korki ene chewa keja shewalas thamanga lata sharjo ki ene tarup se nzanga thanda chu khoya gochu gu yosta thanda sab running din zuk thoni ta imbe ne ya duk ste de du zambala chewa ji khar yung du slami bena nobjo ki tarup sigine re nobjo ki ene senri ki nanglo la tangi ene kangi yungsa chewa yungse ki ne chu ni do shingo bu ki ne luk da chewa yobe ki kangi chigda shingo bu ki ne luk di ki thola nganzu ki ene shinto chidang da chewa thoni takje chidang da chewa thode kangi dini ni de pat yensam se wo shu jores ina ya ta duk ste de zambala ane sharjo ki ane tarup ku nanglo la dini ni ki shensam de dinde ki se wo mewe thondu us de de be sura ji yosari samsam lo shidu das.
So then my answer to the second part of the question is that if I understand the question correctly, that yes, there are things in Western philosophy that are, I guess the word would be a tenet, meaning...
Let me explain this to you. So one, there's philosophical view that you understand. Second, when he talks about trupta, the definition of trupta or tenet system, loosely translated, means that whether you rely on a quotation or you use your logic, so by using logic or quotation, you affirm something and then say, this is it. I will not go beyond that. So it's a little bit kind of dogmatic, right? So that is what he means.
So I would say, I think there is a tradition of that in the Western philosophy, but I tend to think that that's more, like I would classify that as theology. So in the school that I teach at, we have two different departments. We have a department of philosophy that deals with philosophy, and then we have a department of theology or religion that deals with religion. And those seem like the two things that Lakdor is talking about. And so we don't necessarily call it philosophy, but I guess it really is philosophy. It's just that we give it a different name.
Chazata tiwaniwa di tawada tumdaning pala ane gundik yansam shaigreves ya di ane chitanta di dawj yonesena ane se chodo ko dus manzu pecha chana ngarang ki lobchi chizik labda dik nanglol yimbena ane tadub ki desin se ya jores tadub ki desin se ya dik nanglol da tawada dewa yobike ane nezu denzo ane shiki yores manzu ki desin jik min kharstiki yores la yimbena manzu mingna tadub ki desin tagi maris ko ane chulu ki desin chulu rikbe ki desin so dene ro chigres chazata chada ane ko tadub ki ming mata wache chulu rikbe ki dene shiki yobena quran su sola ta jik tawada langcho ta chumde ki chumta se di ane konzu ki ane lobshi se siginere samtang da dilshana ane mandiga yosamare samgdus.
I give a comment which is a very different answer to the one that Ian gave. Not contradictory, but just orthogonal, in the sense of a complementary. So it's sort of a sociological answer. So again, like I know probably even less about Eastern philosophy than Ian does, but I suspect that a special characteristic of Western philosophy is the type of society in which it developed. So initially in ancient Greece, in Athens.
Tanda tiwadi gal ngene be ga chestichna gen Quran ki tanda shesha wadida ta do yo sigre do me sigres ta ta ngarang samtu chi bim bena sharjo da nubjo ki tadu kollata ko mandawi cha chi khari yor slavim bena tadub sia dia perji chungya ki chungnim ki nanglo la chungsi ki neba mandawa khari me dik thon chewa yor sam gdus nubjo ki tadub bim bena tangbu chungsa de tanda Greek sia klungba dik nanglo yebe ke ta chokba de ne ya chung yores.
So originally then, and then reflowering of Western philosophical tradition in the 1600s and 1700s, the age of the Enlightenment and for on. And what characterized those societies, I think, was a celebration of the individual and a belief, which was, I think, quite unusual, that the people then were living in the best of times, that they were creating things that had never been created before, and that they were surpassing their ancestors.
Ta dine any Greek jela any lo mangus kela Europe lungba shimbala turab chuni da choksum da chipshi da wan signature da ke turab se adine chung yore dine khale cheche any Europe ke chok nangla any pergi chung yores ta tuzu rimba mandawa mado Europe ke chizo denzu changme ke nanglo konzu samno dang ke thone timo ke cha khari yores labin bena any konzu ki o gerzo chebe ke any chizo chadi yores ta gerzo sense mar kap thi thu ke any ta tadum ke Quran su ke yishi khari yores labin bena tanda nganzu ke she digi yowa tanda nganzu ke so digi yowa denzo any tanda padu mi ke she manyu ya da sam manyu ya da so manyu ya jang ji nganzu ke so digi yowa samya ke dinde ke any samno ke dumshi khidan di any ta nobjo ke tadub ke chungre ku nanglo chizo changme nanglo chung yores.
My question is for Kempola. That time he was talking about mind training of our mind and physical body. So I would like to ask, to make our mind that flexible, what is the solution to make our mind that flexible? Because if we think of meditation itself is also a kind of illusion. So, and on top of that, I think being human beings, we are able to use only 20% of our mind. So what about the rest of 80%?
Yeah, this is wonderful. This is very good question. Because the problem of not training the mind is not because it is not possible to train it, but we tend to ignore it because we focus only on what is visible. Smell is visible, sound is visible, body is visible. We just get obsessed with everything that is visible and forget about what is visible. That is the problem. That is actually tragedy. So that's why the Buddha has been repeatedly saying train your mind, undertake meditation, undertake mindfulness. I mean, you just make a comparative, comparison, how you take care of your body and how you take care of your mind. For body, you feed it, breakfast, lunch, dinner, then jogging, exercises. We are all not good in that, but still we do a lot of things for the body. To this poor mind, what did you do, honestly speaking? You see? If you think that it's only 20% taken care of, it is your problem, my problem, you see? We can't blame anybody. So therefore, I already mentioned about the possibilities of changing the mind. And in fact, mind is the maker of our destiny. It's not the body. Body is the slave. Mind is the boss. So who is important? You should think about yourself. Is it your mind who is dictating you all the time, go here, go there, sit down? Or it's your body which is giving the order? It is the mind. But this mind is so elusive, so cunning, so opportunistic. Unless you meditate and be watchful and mindful, it will get out of your hand. So therefore, we are talking about concentration, meditation, mindfulness. And if you start doing that, you will see the miracles. I'm not talking about opening a third eye here, but you will, the peace and the happiness that you will get from training the mind. Out of 100% suffering that we think we are, afflicted with, around 70% of that suffering is just your mind made. It's not even suffering. Look at that.
Well, I think on that note we'll end this session. That was a beautiful ending. So.